Hello YouTube, it's Main Game here, bringing you a deck profile on the new Raging Form deck. No, it's not a breakdown anymore. It hasn't been for years, and it won't be again because it takes too long and not make people pay attention and shit. So yeah, this is deck profile on the Raging Form deck. Some people have asked to see my build. It has slightly changed since putting it on the channel though, because certain situations came up and I had to change some. I think it happened on the game, and I was like, I should change that. Anyway, starting with the starting Vanguard is Promising Knight David. His skill is GB1. When you're retiring your Regards for the cost of your unit's ability, he's counted as 2 retirements instead of 1. So I primarily use him because I'm going all out on Rapt's skill, and Rapt, luckily enough, doesn't require Revenger Regards to be retired, unlike the majority of Revenger cards. So I use him because he allows me to easier access to getting multiple restands with Rapt. Big Boss Bear Grade 3 is Revenger Raging Rapt Dragon, the old school print one, original triple rare, because he looks nice. What's the best place to put him? There. So run 4 copies of him for obvious reasons. I'll go over his skill anyway, I guess. Limit Break 4, at the end of the battle this unit attacked a... No! At the end of the battle this unit attacked!
Yeah.
Wow, that's old. You may pay the cost of retiring 3 Revenger Regards. If you do, choose up to 1 Raging Form Revenger Dragon in your hand. I said that completely wrong. Revenger Raging Form Dragon from your hand, right at the stand, and then you can choose your Vanguard and give it 10k. So yeah, I barely ever use that skill in this deck. It's mainly all stride this, stride that, stride, stride, stride. And his second skill, which actually is oddly enough quite useful at times, when it attacks a Vanguard, you can count +1 and give it 3k. So the amount of times I've just gone, attack, count loss, 14 on your 9. Yay, it's a barrier. Next grade 3, people tend to run this in 4. I am only running 2. It is Revenger Slay Hex Dragon. It's the new one from set 9. So that card skill is when you ride it on the place it on the Vanguard, you ride over a Revenger card, count +1, discard a card, search your deck for a Raging Form, ride it, and then this card that's in your soul gets added to your hand. So people run that at 4, I'm only running it at 2 because it's still a nice ride target, because it's essentially giving you 6 Raging Forms to find and ride. The last 2 I'm running as Dragrawler Phantom. So Dragrawler is Limit Break 4, count +1, retire 2 Revengers. This gets 10k, and if your number of cards your opponent's damage zone is 4 or less, you can choose one of your opponent's Vanguards and deal damage. And it's also a cross rider for Mordred, but yeah, what are you doing? It's really nice. His skill isn't completely irrelevant, in all honesty. I'm using it because he is a Limit Break 4 Abyss Dragon. That is something I forgot to mention. They're all Abyss Dragons because that's the cost of Rap skill. Go on.
No.
You're laughing about something, so
It's fine.
So I'm looking at my cards and I don't notice that.
It's a Limit Break card. You should use it. I hope you're searching.
What is bois is skill, Mike?
What is that? When it hits a Vanguard, you retire it and search for a card with a Limit Break ability.
So it has to hit you. Alternatively, I can use Detonate Heat Dragon. So when it on the rearguard, when it attacks a Vanguard and you have a Vanguard with Raging its card name, it gets 2k, going up to 11. And then it also gets, at the end of your turn, you can counter +1 and retire this to search for 1 Abyss Dragon with Limit Break 4 and add it to your hand.
This is a Counter Blast, and you don't have to have a grade 3 already out. This is a grade 2.
I don't care.
Booyah!
It has to hit.
Booyah!
So that is the answer as to why I run 2 Mordred. Not Mordred, 2 Dragrawler. So you've got 6 targets, so potentially ride, because that becomes a Raging Form, so 6 Raging Forms. And then Detonate Heat Dragon is a searcher for your 4, 5, 6 Limit Break cards. So it's a nice 6 to ride, 6 to search kind of thing. Next Glade Do is a Ballastard Revenger Abyss, because he's still an amazing card. So place on rearguard, count blast of your Revenger Vanguard, retire grade 1 or less, because yeah, it's just that good. Mike still hates this card to death.
Yeah, because it's just Kagero still haven't got it. To this day, Shadows have a better card for retirement than Kagero. You have to run Petitions to do that.
Last grade 2, which I run in 3, is Wily Revenger Mana. She's an 8k, but when she's placed on Vanguard or Rigard, if you have a Shadow Paladin in Vanguard, you can search your deck for a grade 1 Revenger, call it to Rigard in the same column. At the end of the turn, put that unit back to the bottom of the deck. So she's only really used for either A, calling out a unit to be immediately retired for set retirement skills, such as Raging Form or Rapt or anything else. Or 2, which I might as well go straight to now. Stop doing that, Mike.
Okay.
Is I run 2 Detecting Revenger Aphie. So 6k has an act to rest herself, and you can reveal top 5 cards of your deck for a look for a Raging Form, add it to your hand. If you didn't add anything to your hand, give another one of your units 2k. So primarily that's your combo you're looking for. Either on grade 2 Ride, or if you're just calling it to Rigard, mana will generally search Aphie, you rest her, look for a Raging Form, increase your chances of finding your Raging Forms / grade 3s. You also combos with another card really, but I'll get to them in a minute. 4 Perfect Guards, use a Revenger Mat Clear. I don't think you counterblast that much in the deck, so it's not that much of an issue of what you use. For Cherishing Knight Branwen, she's your stride fodder. You have to use 4 because ultimately your grade 3s shouldn't be used for striding as much in this deck because you're aiming to discard them for Rapt. And what was the 10k swing Masquerade is now Tempting Revenger Finnegas, which is the limit break enabler. So yeah, in the game I'm pretty sure I did Rapt skill and then I healed down to 3 and I couldn't do it. So people mentioned, why am I not using Finnegas? I am now using Finnegas for reasons like that. It's also a Revenger. I'm going to run out of room for... No, I should have enough room for triggers. Trigger wise, 4 draws because you kind of need to find your grade 3s. Yeah, it's close enough. 4 crit. Look at my amazing presentation, Mike. Another 4 crit.
No.
And 4 heal. All Revenger ones, just in case you need to retire Revengers for said skills, such as Drag Ruler or Raging Form. Does Mike have any comments on my deck so far?
No. I assume you've gone over stuff.
Going on to strides. 1 True Revenger Drag Ruler Revenant. So he's one of the first ones we got in the first Fights collection. He was kind of bad at the time, he still kind of is now, but for a skill you can retire 1 Revenger. If you have a Heart with Revenger, you can search your deck for 1 grade 1 or less Revenger, call it to the rearguard and give that unit and the Vanguard 3k. His primary use is on first stride. You retire something, search out Aphie. So, because mana always sends her back, and if you haven't found her by that point, you'd want to search her out and try to use her as many times as possible to get Raging Form as quick as possible. One of your second first strides is Dark Dragon Carnivore Dragon. If you don't need to use that and search out one of your grade 1s, you've got the new Dark Carnivore Dragon from the latest trial deck. So you retire 1 of your Rigars, your opponent has to retire 2. If they couldn't retire 2, if you choose 3 of your units in your front row and they get 4k. Mike, what are you doing? Nothing. Just good stuff. Big boss man of the deck. True Revenger Raging Rapt Dragon. So this is the card that Mike got pissed off with.
Alright, yeah.
Limit.
Well, because you didn't specify when talking about the deck before prior to playing, you could get it off twice.
Well, why wouldn't you?
Because it just didn't make sense that they'd release a card that can do it twice.
So, Limit Break 4.
Well, a deck card in the game can restand twice.
It doesn't restand twice though.
It does technically. You can do it.
At the end of the battle that this unit attacked, if you have a Heart with Raging in this card lane, you can Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, choose 2 grade 3 Abyss Dragons and discard them, and choose 2 of your Regards and retire them. If you do, you put this unit from your Vanguard in your G zone face up, then you choose a face down Raging Rapt from your G zone and stride it as stand. Guess what, Mike? It's a new unit. I'm just saying, explaining, and this unit gets -1 drive to the end of the turn. So triple drive, get a new one, double drive, twin drive, blah 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 blah. So I run 4, but I don't actually know if 4 is necessary or not, because I'm still sort of testing the deck, I guess. But yeah, that's the main reason, because you can retire 2, so he counts as 1 if you move it to the back right, which is what I tend to do. And your front right and your Vanguard booster is your second one, and then you can technically do a third one if need be. 4, Phantom Blast Diablo, because he's still a good card. I assume you know what his skill is, but I'll go over it anyway. Count Blast 1, flip himself face up. If the number of face up cards in G-Zone is 2 or more, so it's a GB2 skill, gets 10k in a crit. And when you attack the Vanguard, you can retire 3, and if you do, your opponent has to retire 2 or more in order to guard from their hand. Otherwise they can't guard from their hand. So 4 of that, so that gets 10. Run 2 Drive Lewards. Since a lot of retirement's going on, it's quite easy to stack up grade 1s in the drop zone. So Luard's skill is ritual free. When it's placed on the Vanguard, you can Soul Blast 1 and flip any card in your G-Zone face up. If you do, search for a grade 1 from your deck equal to the number... I don't know. Search your deck for up to the number of grade 1s in your deck equal to the number of face-up Luards in your G-Zone. Call them separate rear guards. And for each grade 1 in your drop zone, those units get a K. So since you only run 2, you only ever call 1 grade 1, but its potential to get like 10k onto a call is pretty good. G-Guards, free plot makers, so ritual free gets 10k. For those who don't know, by the way, rituals when you have 3 grade 1s in the drop zone. And then 1 Dismal, just because you might want to protect something, I suppose. Mike?
Mm-hmm.
Any more comments?
What are you trying to protect?
What are you trying to protect with it?
I generally don't know, I just have Dismal in there.
Right.
It could easily be another plot maker.
Okay. And yeah, the restand is percent flip, right?
It's not re-standard, but yes, you stride it. If you pay the cost, you put it into the G-Zone and then ride another one.
It's count plus 1.
Count plus 1, soul plus 1.
Yeah, I guess you can get 4. Guess.
The idea is that you go 1, try to get it off once. If you can get off again, great, but then your 4th one's useless, but you can go restand
And then restand
once and then do it again on another turn. So if there are anything to change out of the deck, technically I guess you could change the draws or the trigger lineup. I personally want 4 draws just to help me find grade 3s. Perfect guards are necessary. For this deck, I would say that the 4 stride fodders are necessary, since you need those in your hand for Rapt skill. Limit break 4 is technically not necessary, and neither is Ify. I've seen a lot of people switch Ify out for Moir, whose skill is Counterblast or Revenger. When it's placed on the rear guard, if you have a grade 3 Revenger Vanguard, you can search for a copy of your Vanguard and add it to your hand. The reason I prefer to use Ify is 1, mana can call it out early game and I can still use the skill. Whereas if I did that with Moir, I can't because I need to have a grade 3 before I can use the skill at all. And 2, it's a free cost and I don't have to counterblast. So that's the main reason I do that instead. But technically, those cards can come out. I don't see a lot of people run Detonate, but with this grade 3 lineup, I would say this is ideally what you should run. A lot of people tend to run Dark Bless, whose skill is when it's sent from the drop zone to the rear guard as the cost of your ability. If you're a grade 3 Revenger, you can count plus 1, search for a grade 1 Revenger called to your rear guard, and then at the end of the turn, that unit's retired. So that's basically the substitute for David in the deck, where she calls a unit out after being retired, giving you more fodder for a Rapt retirement. So I personally still prefer Detonate Heat and would say that is a staple in the deck, but I've seen loads of other builds and not a lot of people run it. But they always run Abyss, because he is just amazing. And do they run Mana?
Yeah, pretty sure they do.
I'm not sure, I can't really remember. I guess it's a similar thing with Dark Bless, that they use it as, oh, it's an extra fodder. But I mainly use mana for Iphy. So if Iphy's not a staple in the deck, then mana's technically not either. In this situation, Drag Ruler technically isn't, but I would say definitely Raging Form and definitely Slay Hex. But it's up to you how many of each copy you would run. But if you wanted a core deck, then that's your kind of starting point to play around with, and then your starter depends on how you want to go with the rest of the deck. But ultimately, that is my deck profile on Raging Rapt. Where's he gone? Mate?
What?
You're just kind of sitting there falling asleep. I don't want you falling asleep.
Well,
I'm looking for comments and stuff like I did on yours. It's supposed to be Team Endgame, not Aaron.
well, I don't know enough about the deck, to be honest. I got annoyed that it restood twice, and other than that, I hate the grade 2 that Countermaster retires something as unspecified, and Raging Form should have died a long time ago, it shouldn't have come back.
You're just still sour that it was a Raging Form crit for game and you got the wrong one.
Yeah, yes I am.
All those...
Mucker for the win.
3 years ago?
There's Mucker and a crit or Raging Form for game. And
So there you go, guys. Doing Mikey's little setup thing. I forget how he does it all the time.
people were so confused how we did it.
Yeah, I know, right? You get the idea. Thanks, guys.
Searches retires, you know how it works.
I
You know far better than it. Maelstrome's been around a lot longer, you've seen more of it. I've not seen enough of it to comment.
Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you like this deck profile. Please let me know below in the comments your variations on the builds and anything you disagree with. I'll be happy to comment on. Anything else I want to say? Anything else you want to say? No? Yes? No?
No.
Okay. We'll do more deck profiles in the future, I hope.
And
I say this every freaking time.
And other stuff.
Yeah, and other stuff. We're trying to expand a bit more. But until then, see you guys later.